move on to a different sort of football. This is professional football, grown men with paychecks, and hurrah. Tennessee Titans right now, something's working well for them. What's the formula? What are they doing right?
Jeff Fisher's putting something in that water at practice, I'm telling you, because you look at their team. Who's on that team? I mean, basically it's a team. There's no individual stars. Kerry Collins, the veteran presence, he's not losing the games. He's not necessarily winning them either. He's only completing, 55% of his passes, but he's not turning the ball over. Then they got, I think, the running back tandem is key. Lendale White and Chris Johnson.
That running back tandem fourth in the NFL right now in total yards, first in touchdowns, and the defense.
Well, you want to know something? Go back to those running backs. They don't fumble the ball. All season, they haven't fumbled the ball. Look at the whole team. They've only got a handful of turnovers the entire season.
Six
why they're winning.
Turnovers, yeah.
You don't turn the ball over, and you play good defense like they do. And look at what Mike Reinfeldt and Jeff Fisher have created in Tennessee after that 0-4 and 0-5 disaster when they only won 9 games. And now look at them, 8-0. Best team in the league by far.
Chris, and you need two things to win in the NFL. You need to be able to control the clock. You can do that with a good running game and a good defense. The other thing is you need to score points, and they're doing it.
Yeah, the only thing I have, they don't really have a big play threat. If they ever get behind in the game, it's going to be tough. Who are the receivers? Their leading receiver is Bo Scaife.
Tight end.
Backup tight end of the Titans.
I think obviously Chris Johnson, a home run threat. Lendale White can gain yardage every single time he touches the ball. So, when your home run hitters are your running backs, kind of mixes things up a little bit. And their defense can score points. I mean, you look at a guy like Cortland Finnegan, intercepting passes left and right these days.
They can score.
They get it done everywhere. We're going to move on. Michigan hockey,
Michigan hockey, they beat the Buckeyes. Always good to hear. They swept the Buckeyes. 2 victories over the weekend. 4-3 on Friday, 6-1 on Saturday. They didn't pick a goalie like you called for last weekend. So
I still don't like this. I mean,
they're winning though, 6-2.
It doesn't matter. It's Ohio State. When you go into a big game, a one-game game against a team like obviously what they did last week, Boston University, what do? How do you pick a goaltender? You need someone to be your designated 1, and you need someone to be your designated 2. It's that simple. Sauer didn't look great, but made 34 saves and held on in the third period.
They had to face a lot of shots.
Hogan took a shutout into the third. Nothing's resolved. It never will be. I still don't like this. It didn't work 3 years ago. It's not going to work this year.
Put all that besides, at least they beat the Buckeyes, Dan. Finally some teams. I mean, men's
but the
soccer,
Buckeyes are in the cellar of the CCHA, and they outshot Michigan.
Always have been, but it avenged the loss from last year at Yost. So that's
fine.
Don't let that happen again 2 years in a row.
Louis Caparuso, I'll give his name out.
Player of the week, Aaron Palujai, player of the month in the
assists.
CCHA. Way to go, Aaron.
Hurrah,
Last big topic of the show, Danny, before we throw it to the main event, Greg Oden, back to the NBA. He went through this, in the first game of the year.
Yep.
Second quarter, I believe. Down he goes, right foot injury. Is this Sam Bowie?
Sam Bowie, remember,
Sam
was
Bowie
the pick all over again.
Back in the 80s, who never became the number 2 pick
he was the number 2 pick, right behind Jordan. And the thing was, Sam Bowie wasn't a bad basketball player.
He wasn't bad. He averaged 11 points a game, 8 boards for his 10-year career.
And he was decent. And obviously injuries kind of played a large role in that. But obviously you look at what Jordan did, and that kind of makes things, a little skewed. Obviously we'll wait to see what Kevin Durant ends up doing. But when Oden has scored 0 points now in 2 full years in the NBA, he missed all 4 shots he took the other day. It's not looking good for Oden. It's not looking good for the Blazers. And obviously a telltale sign is when you have a, 7'1", 300-some-odd pound.
I hate to say it, Danny.
7'1", he's a 7'1", 19-year-old Chris
he's just
who walks
goofy.
Like he's 50.
He's goofy, okay?
Look at the signs.
You see him walk, and his legs are going at different lengths because they're different. I mean, that's just the way his body is
Thankfully,
built.
Kevin Pritchard has built a solid young core so that even if Oden doesn't pan out, this team isn't completely sunk.
They're not going to make the playoffs.
We'll talk more basketball in just a bit, Chris. You and I are going to take a quick break. When we come back from the commercials, we're going to have Andrew Olmstead on talking some NBA. Stay right with us.